The LA Clippers would play their second game in 22 hours on Sunday afternoon, and it would be without Kawhi Leonard and Paul George out together for the first time this season. The Clippers still put up a solid effort. What happened in the game, and what opportunity do the Clippers have in front of them? Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA, and in my 19th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, where a video of the game I attended on Sunday afternoon against the Bucks will be out on my channel. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. And I want you to comment what you thought of the game, the performance by our guys, you thought of the decision to not play Kawhi and Paul, and the schedule to end up putting us in a situation like this. And this episode is brought to you by Nissan. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Just shop nissanusa.com. All right, Clipper Nation, new week. And it was a busy weekend for the boys in red, white, and blue. Actually, no red until next season. Let's go. But played against the Chicago Bulls and the Milwaukee Bucks in a 22-hour span. Now, for those that don't know what I mean by that, let me tell you. Played against the Chicago Bulls on Saturday afternoon at 1. I was at that game. Then we played 23 hours later against the Milwaukee Bucks. If you haven't noticed, my voice has been gone for a couple of days, and now it's gotten even worse. Going to Staples Center 3 nights in a row, although at the Laker game I wasn't yelling. But Clipper game 2 nights in a row can do a number on you when your voice is already kind of hoarse. So apologies for that. But, hey, got to give my all to the cause, right? Here's the thing. 23 hours after the start of your game the previous day, I'm pretty sure that violates league policy. And then to make things worse, daylight saving started. So it was actually 22 hours after the start of the Chicago game, which is crazy. So given that Kawhi and Paul George have looked a little bit fatigued of late, mainly Paul George, has been dealing with that groin injury, the Clippers rested them and load managed them. Only for the second game each this season. Kawhi's first one was against Golden State right before the All-Star break. And Paul George was against Washington, I believe, on the road trip. But other than that, they've been injured in all the other games they've missed. Small injuries, thankfully nothing serious. But the Clippers elected to sit them both, which essentially to me is what the NBA community now seems to call punting in the NBA, which is basically saying we are okay with losing. Now, I understand the precaution to not play them, given that there are 2 best players, 2 highest paid players. You want to keep them fresh for the playoffs. Don't want to risk injury. 22-hour turnaround. They've been carrying the most weight all season, this and that. I completely feel them. But James Harden playing, he's played every single game. He's, if anything, looked more gassed the last couple of weeks than these two. He should get the rest as well. And you know what? I give James Harden credit for suiting up. However, I feel like this is more medical staff organization than the Kawhi and Paul saying we don't want to play. No proof. Remember, I don't know how much. That's the biggest thing that people do not know is how much pushback a player has on a given situation with these decisions. And I'm not going to speak like I do. And I know this wasn't a big deal to them clearly. Otherwise, Kawhi and Paul George would be playing. But the fact that James Harden is playing, that, I don't know. I think if you're going to basically be okay with losing, you might as well just sit them all. But we don't have Russ, so that makes things tough. Maybe if we had Westbrook, you'd be sitting Harden. But given no 2-1-3, that was going to make things tough. And I thought the Clippers played really well. And I'm going to talk more about the specifics of the game for the rest of the episode. But I think it's very hard for me to talk about the game and be kind of genuine with you about the fact that it tells us anything about the Clippers. I think it tells us that we have more depth than we realized. I think that's one of the main takeaways you get from a game like that is with how many players played well, you realize, wow, the Clippers really have more depth than we think. But here's the thing. We still lost the game, 124-117. It took very good performances from Giannis and Damian Lillard, each of them scoring 34-plus points. Giannis with 34, 7 rebounds, and 10 assists on 12 for 24 shooting and 10 for 15 from the line. By the way, I was the first one in 207 to try to start counting down. And then at first, everybody was just booing. I started counting down. One of my boys in the section was like, no, he's getting a rhythm. Shout out to my boy Emmanuel if you're listening. He was saying, no, you're giving Giannis rhythm. I was like, dude, come on. What are you talking about? He doesn't even hear us, really. We did it again, and he missed 2 in a row. And everyone started doing it. I haven't watched the broadcast. I hope it made their way on TV, but I swear to God, your boy started it. Because, I don't know, sometimes you need somebody that knows the trends of the NBA to kick it off. But Clipper fans that do follow the NBA, which is most of 207, once you do something that's obvious, they'll tag along. So sometimes you just need to start the flame. But here's the thing. Damian Lillard was fantastic. 35 points, 7 boards, 11 assists on 11 for 19 shooting. And the real killer was 7 for 13 from 3. This season, Dame is shooting 35% from 3. So he's not actually having the best season from deep. And he was on fire. You know, we go drop coverage. That's our strategy. That's what Zoo does. And we were going drop with basically all our bigs. And even Mason Plumlee, when Zoo was in foul trouble, got some burn in the beginning of the third quarter. And it wasn't great. But they were all on drop. And Dame was torching us. And there were times where we tried to get the ball out of Dame's hands by going into a higher drop. And he would make that pocket pass to Giannis. And then he would either go or make a pass to someone else. And that's why Giannis ended up getting so many assists. So you got to pick your poison. And everybody knew when Dame and Giannis came together that that pick and roll was going to be tough to stop with Giannis as the screener. So with no 2-1-3, it wasn't really, you needed as good of a game as we had, plus the three-point shooting to be better. And we didn't get that. The Clippers shot 30% from 3, 45% from the field, only 10 free throw attempts. We shot 90% from the line. Milwaukee shot 49% from the field, 45% from 3 on 17 for 38 shooting, and then 78% from the line, but they shot 17 more free throw attempts. So we shot 17 more shots. They shot 17 more free throws. They made 3 more threes. They ended up winning by 7, 124-117. And, you know, it was a very neck-and-neck game the whole way. But here's my thing. I'm going to be honest, and I'm completely in the minority with this. I understand. But we should have had Kawhi and Paul playing. Like, if they're healthy, we got to get every game we can. Like, this whole thing about they're guaranteed to get injured if they play, or you don't want to risk it. When have we lost Kawhi or Paul George on a back-to-back? We lost them to freak accidents on the basketball court. Like, I just think if James Harden's going to do it and you're subjecting these other players to do it, they should do it too. James Harden's older than them, and he looks more gassed the last couple of weeks. Even in this game, he's not getting by anybody. He's not getting by that many good players frequently with any consistency. It's not like he looked in December and January and November. It's mainly December and January. I don't know. I'm not a fan. Everybody knows I'm the biggest load management hater. It's in my Twitter bio. But if we end up with a top 3 seed, this will be an afterthought. If we don't, like the thing is, people are going to say, what about the games that they played and we should have won? Here's my defense to that. When you have your full team and you're losing sometimes, that just happens. You know, you got to learn from these things. But when you're voluntarily like, okay, we're going to be cautious and just not play our best players, then it's like if you lose, who are you blaming? Like you're not going for it. So I just have a problem with that, but it is what it is. It won't be a big deal if the Clippers still get a top 3 seed. If you don't agree with me on the top 3 seed thing, which is totally valid, you think the Clippers could be the 3rd team in NBA history to win a championship below that. And again, it's not about going to the finals. It's about winning the whole thing. That's why we put this team together. That's why we got James Harden, made it a 3-star team. So without those two, by the way, here's what I will say. It was the first time this season that we didn't have 2-on-3 in a game. And that feels really good to say that. And the fact that it's not an injury, it's load management, honestly feels even better because if they were injured, obviously it would suck. But considering how used to that we got over the last 3 or 4 years, mainly the last 2 seasons, feels great to say it was the first time and we're on game 63. So coming up, going to talk more about game 63. The solid effort from the guys. There was a lot of positives to take, and I actually had a really good time at the game. So let's talk about that coming up. I got to tell you a little something about Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives and great escapes. Class exclusive Google built-in is your always updating assistant to call on for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect mid-size crossover for your next adventure. The 2024 Nissan Armada will change what you expect from a full-size SUV. Picture a rugged 4x4 that can seat up to 8 in first-class luxury and style. Tow bigger and explore further in the 2024 Armada. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop nissanusa.com. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. All right, Clippers falling short in this one, 124-117. And I'll tell you what, I thought we played really well. It was a fantastic effort and probably the most consistent effort through 4 quarters that we've had since the All-Star break. I kid you not. I thought everybody came out with a level of intensity, a level of effort defensively. We had Ivica Zubac guarding Giannis and PJ Tucker starting, by the way, guarding Brook Lopez. And I thought Zoo actually did a pretty good job of showing resistance. You know, the idea of having Zoo guard Giannis is, okay, what he will lose in, the speed matchup, he'll be level in the size matchup. Giannis can't just bully Zoo. And a lot of Giannis's points come on bullying guys, bullying forwards that while they have length, they are not as strong as him. So that's what makes Giannis so tough. He's quicker than guys like Zoo, and he's stronger than guys like Terrence Mann or a Paul George. But Zoo, I thought, was holding his own. That being said, Giannis still had a good game. But Dame was really the one that was hurting us. And I thought Terrence Mann, not that he was playing necessarily really bad defense, but drop coverage on Dame, if you're going to play drop coverage at all, your point of attack guy needs to be right on him. And Terrence, he was kind of in the rear view. And the rear view sometimes isn't good enough for Dame. And he was hitting everything. We went with Amir Coffey guarding him to put a little bit more length and size on him. And I think he did a better job. But that being said, Dame got buckets on everyone. I will say, though, PJ Tucker, he actually, in my opinion, had his best had his best half as a Clipper. He had one of his better games as a Clipper, which is not saying anything, but I think he got a couple of deflections. He was playing some tough defense, had some good shot contests in the first half, kept a couple of possessions alive with offensive rebounds, 4 of them to be exact. He had 7 points and 6 rebounds and 2 assists. 7 points. That's got to be one of his highest scoring games this season, if not his highest. But 3 for 9 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3. He got tons of open corner threes, and he only made 1. So, again, he still does not belong in any rotation on a championship team, and it's not even debatable. And his answer after the game about how tough it was, to come back into the rotation, like, it's beyond tough. Like this, I want to reiterate, I met PJ Tucker when I was a kid, and he was the nicest player on the 2013 Suns to my family. He was such a good guy. He shook all our hands, signed a big autograph. So I've always had respect for him, but he's been very unprofessional since coming to the Clippers. He thinks he's better than he is right now. He's just caused a scene to the point where the media has talked about it and everybody confirms it. And now he's giving answers like that. Like the lack of reps is why he's every time he plays, he can barely get the ball over the iron on the corner three. He's got no lift. He gets rebounds because he has great timing and he hovers around in good areas. He has a knack for rebounding, there's no doubt. And he had some great box outs. But I don't like his answer. Now, after the first quarter, the Clippers were down. Actually, we're up 33-29. We were up by 3 at halftime, 59-62. Thought James Harden was doing a really good job distributing and pick and roll as always. He finished with a double-double, 13 points, 11 assists, 5 rebounds. But we needed a better scoring Harden in this game. He was 5 for 16 from the field. And to be honest, he was 4 for 10 from 2. It felt like he shot a little bit better than that, I'm not going to lie, from my experience of the game and the eye test. But 3-point, he was 1 for 6, and it did feel like another game where he was struggling to shoot from 3, although yesterday Saturday he was 4 for 10 from 3, and those were all his shots. But James, he's had some pretty inefficient games recently. I just worry a little bit. But he still creates, which is great. But I think we're going to need the best version of James Harden in this role to win a championship. And, we are 19 games away now after this one, so we got to get him to start rounding into that form. 5 for 16 for him, 1 for 6 from 3, and only got to the line twice. Made both free throws. But if it's a Zubats, I thought he had one of his better games since he's come back from that illness. He's been looking really suspect lately, but he was finishing in the short roll. He was making solid decisions in the short roll. He was finishing over the top with those little jump hooks. When he got the ball around the basket, he hit some left-handed jump hooks. He was 9 for 11 from the field. Sadly, he didn't get any free throw attempts, but what else is new? 18 points, 6 boards. Only 6 boards is a little interesting. He had 5 fouls, so he only played 26 minutes, which was the lowest of any starter, actually tied with P.J. Tucker. But I thought he played really well. And then Tice gave us some solid minutes. 2 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 blocks on 1 for 2 shooting. And only 15 minutes, and he was a plus 17, which was by far the highest of any Clipper. Now, that makes it seem like he was the most impactful Clipper by far, and he wasn't. But he did give us some good minutes. Mason Plumlee, he was whatever. 2 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. He was okay in 7 minutes on 1 for 3 shooting. But Norman Powell, he was our leading scorer in this game. Knocking down his... Wow, it felt like he was knocking down his threes, but I guess he wasn't. 3 for 14? Oh my God, from 3. 6 for 7 from 2. So again, he actually has been kind of cold from deep lately, but attacking closeouts, he has been fantastic and finishing around the basket, getting to the foul line. He was 5 for 6 from the foul line for us in this game, which was the most free throw attempts and makes of any Clipper in this one. He played 31 minutes, had 26 points and 7 rebounds to go along with 2 assists and a steal. James Harden, by the way, he also had 5 turnovers, which was accounted for half of our turnovers. So, needed to do a better job taking care of the ball. The Bucks only had 7, so that was definitely part of the reason they won. The third quarter, they outscored us 32-23. And again, I think it was just at times we came up a little bit higher on the screens on Dame, passed to Giannis, and they got good stuff. Remember, we don't have Kawhi and Paul George, and Kawhi is very important for our defense, especially backside rim protection. And a guy that we can throw at Giannis as well. Fourth quarter, they only beat us by 1, 33-32, and that gave them the 124-117 win. Kind of pulled away towards the end, but Bones Highland, I thought he gave us some really solid minutes, so much so to the point where when James Harden came back in, but actually they shared the court a little bit in this one. Bones played 21 minutes, Harden played 36, but in the fourth quarter, Bones came out, James came in. And I actually wanted Bones to stay in because I felt like he was getting a rhythm. He had 12 points, 2 rebounds, and 5 assists. Had some really nice passes. Didn't turn the ball over at all. And defense wasn't bad either. 5 for 12 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3. Had a side step back 3 in Giannis's face. Amir Coffey even had a 3 in Giannis's face, and he had a fantastic game. So you're starting to see Amir Coffey pick it up a bit lately. 16 points and 10 boards for Amir. So a double-double. I wonder if that's his first one. Let me know in the comments, because I didn't watch the TV broadcast. I bet you they said something about it. 4 assists for him as well to go along with a block on 6 for 11 shooting and 4 for 6 from 3. So he shot the best from 3 of any Clipper in this one. So we'd love to see that in 30 minutes. Amir started alongside Terrence, James, Zoo, and PJ. And then Terrence, he's been playing really well since the All-Star break. 3-ball, he was 2 for 6, but he was 6 for 10 from the field. 2 times he followed up fast break misses. So again, kids, if you're listening, when you see your teammate on a fast break, don't just assume he's going to make the layup. Follow it up, just in case you can be on the cleanup crew. Because the instinct of the defense is to go run and try to block that guy, which sometimes will leave somebody unattended. And Terrence Mann takes advantage of that all the time. 16 points for him. And then Brandon Boston. He was one of my favorites to watch in this game. Honestly, going to talk about him coming up and also the opportunity in front of the Clippers with a certain situation in the Western Conference. Going to be talking about that coming up. I got to tell you a little something about LinkedIn jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. I've gotten hired on LinkedIn. I've never tried to hire someone on LinkedIn, but I'm guessing that they would produce some similar results. Because LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process easy and intuitive. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnba to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Clippers losing this one 124-117. Brandon Boston Jr., good to see him get minutes. He had 18 minutes, 5 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 blocks, one of which was on Dame, 2 for 9 shooting, 1 for 3 from deep. Now, those stats don't sound very good. 2 for 9 from the field. I'll say this. When he first checked into the game, he was shot hunting a little too much, in my opinion. But I thought his defense was really good. And I've talked about it on this show. Brandon Boston, he shows signs of being a good defender. He's got really long arms, anticipates the passing lanes, and whenever he plays, his defense is pretty high effort. And I think that he's not that bad. Like, he's got decent instincts. He's just on the skinnier side. But he had a couple nice blocks in this game, some really nice contests, chasing around screens, high effort. And again, just shot hunting a little too much for me, but that's okay. It is what it is. I mean, that dunk he had on against the whole team, by the way, he had Giannis guarding him, who was getting super handsy, by the way. I was saying it should have been a foul. I got a video of that in live time. And he just threw it down over multiple bodies. I got so hyped. So I thought it was really fun. It seemed like the crowd was really loving Brandon in this game. So, again, there's a real player there. You know, the inefficiency, a lot of that's because he, hasn't shot many shots in actual meaningful games in the NBA. Like, yeah, he might not be the most efficient player, even if he gets more reps, but I do believe it would help. But I enjoyed it. Now, here's the opportunity I'm talking about. The standings right now. The standings. Ugh. Minnesota, who was the number 1 team in the West for the majority of the season so far, Karl-Anthony Towns is out. And Rudy Gobert was just out on Sunday against the Lakers. And the Lakers beat him. So they're 44-21. The Denver Nuggets are 44-20, and they're 8-2 in their last 10. So they're starting to get a little hot. The Thunder sit at number 1 with a 45-19 record. And then we got us at 41-22. So we're only 3 losses, 3.5 games overall, behind the number 1 seed OKC. That gap, once it gets to 4, I think we'll be out of the race for the 1 seed. That's why I was saying this game is imperative. When the 1 seed is in reach, you don't play around, in my opinion. Now, people are going to say, what's the difference between the 1 seed and the 3 seed? The difference is home court advantage in the second round. That's the difference. Now, I would be totally okay with the 2 seed. But Denver's catching fire. Again, 3 seed at worst, and I think it's very possible now that Minnesota's out. Or, I'm sorry, not Minnesota's out. Karl-Anthony Towns is out. So if they start dropping games, This is a golden opportunity for us to get the 3 seed. Now, we need OKC to drop to 2 if that happens. Because if we play the Thunder, if we're fortunate enough to make it out of the first round, we play the Thunder second round, we got a great chance of making this a top 2 season in Clipper history with the conference finals berth yet again. Not to say that we've shown that we're great against the Thunder this year, but in a playoff series, after both teams have won a first round series, I think the Clippers will be favored. The Nuggets in the second round, I mean, we're going up against the best team in the league, which I don't care what the Celtics record is. I think the Nuggets are the best team in the league. They have a much higher basketball IQ and they have the best player in the world. And they're better in crunch time when it counts, and they're 2-0 against the Celtics this season, and they play in a better conference. And they've had more injuries. And they have less depth. So, that's the opportunity. The opportunity is that Minnesota's injured. Let's get a top 3 seed and seal the deal. You know? A dream scenario would be the Nuggets being the 1 seed, playing the Lakers as an 8 seed. Well, I mean, it would be great if the Lakers even make the playoffs. That would be hilarious. If the Warriors and the Lakers both didn't make it, that would be funny. New wave. That's my ultimate dream. What I really want is the Lakers and the Warriors to play each other 9 and 10 and the Warriors to get revenge and just knock the Lakers out of here. That would be great. That would be hilarious. Because if both of them make the playoffs, I don't know if there's a world where both of them make the playoffs this year. The Lakers being 8 and the Nuggets being 1 and then playing in the first round, so maybe the Lakers can tire Denver out. That would be another good scenario for the Clippers. So, anything to get the Nuggets a tougher time. But anyway, Clippers lose it. Next game is a huge one. Speaking of the devil, Minnesota. Could not be a bigger game. No Karl Anthony Towns. We just beat them the other day. Let's tie them in the season series. Or should I say last week we beat them. Let's tie them in the season series. I won't be at the game because I'm coaching my first rec all-star game. So quest for my own banner begins. But go Clippers. I'll be watching the game later. We'll have an episode. We'll have an episode before then, though, probably previewing the game on Tuesday. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers. Let me know what you thought of the episode. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more and a video of the game. Hear the Clipper fans, including myself, booing Glenn Rivers because I'm not a huge fan of that guy. Go Clippers.